Hey everybody, it's Matt Schmidt here again, and now we're going to be talking about targeting. We're going to walk through an example, and this is going to be a baseline for you moving forward when you're exploring your niches. So, how to target? What we're going to do is we're going to go back to that audience insight tool that we looked at in a prior video, and we're going to explore how to go very, very broad, right? At first, we're going to just input nursing in this instance, which is our niche, and then we're going to drill down. And then we're going to find a way to get ourselves to 15x affinity or above. And I'll explain all of this when we go over the shoulder here in a second. And then I'm going to want you to write down all these prime keywords and save it for running our ad, which we'll talk about in the next video here. So what I'm going to do is go over our shoulder, and we're going to go back into that audience insight tool. And what you're going to see here is a full view of everybody tied into the nursing niche. So what Facebook is great for is breaking down these niches and giving us kind of a clear understanding of who's inside of it, right? And it's our job to drill further down to make sure that we target just the right people. So the first thing that I want to do and notice is that I'm going after a profession. So anybody in the 18 to 24 range, even though that's the majority of people, they wouldn't technically be nurses. I'm serving up, in this instance, a shirt to a nurse. So they have to be a nurse in order to buy this shirt. So that's just an understanding of your niche that you want to take account. If there's some kind of age limit or understanding that people don't become this until a certain age, then we're going to want to cut those people out. So I'm going to go for just graduating college and nursing school. So I'm going to go ahead and go 25 and above. And it's going to change some things and change the view of what we're looking at here. And so you can see now 41% of people here are in the 25 to 34 range, for women that is. And you can also bounce this against the baseline of what Facebook is in general. So you can see that our niche, nursing, 79% of it is women, and overall Facebook is 54% of women are on Facebook, or of the community is women. So that's just helpful information when you're looking at it, and we're going to want to pay attention to the other brackets here as well. As kind of a rule, when I'm starting off and I'm testing my offer and I'm beginning to sell shirts or run ads, I don't include anything as far as age bracket wise that isn't 10%. So write that down. If it doesn't achieve a 10% or above as far as the entire niche, we're going to want to cut that out from our look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm going to end at 54. Now you're going to see a shift a little bit more, but it's still generally the same thing. Going back to having an understanding of this niche, this is a female-dominated niche. And so 77%, you can almost say that's just 75%, 3/4 of it on Facebook are women, leaving 1/4 for men. It's drastically further, in females in general. Females are typically a nurse. There are male nurses, but the audience is much more actually than 3/4. So in women's favor. So what we're going to want to do is I'm just going to focus on women, having that understanding of my niche, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit that. So now I have 100% of my audience, and I'm all in on the audience here. There might be some nurses up here or even over here, but what's important for us to know is we're just focusing in on the core group. We want to get the best possible age ranges, understanding. We want to make it as clear as possible because we're going to look to see a good performance on this test. And if it's good here, then we can go after those older groups or those younger groups as well. So now what I want to do is go over to the page likes tab. A quick note, there's about 8 million nurses in the United States, and I'm much more in that range now. You see that? So we went down from 10 to 15 million. Now I've cut it down to a 6 million to 7 million people, which could possibly be, there's going to still be some people that are associated with the niche, not necessarily nurses, but like friends of nurses or family of nurses that Facebook clumps in here. It's important to note that I'm much more in line with the actual number now. So let's go over to the page likes tab, and you're going to see a whole bunch of interest here. Now I told you about, what I like to do is get a 15x or affinity or above. So you can see the affinity ranking right here. Affinity is basically telling you how associated people that are in this niche or in this interest, right? Because this is an interest of this is probably a page, but these pages, all of these pages here, are associated with nursing in some way. Some better than the others, right? So you can see Amazon Fashion has a 3x affinity ranking. That's not a good affinity ranking. But this is such a big interest that it gets clumped in here. But what we want to do, and here's Michael Kors as well, you can see that same thing, 2.2. Now anything with nurse in it right now has a much higher ranking, almost double, but we want to go higher than that. So what I want to do is I want to take an interest here and drill down, replacing it with nursing. What I like to do is go with a website. So you can see it sometimes up here. I would look up here sometimes. You can see some magazines. Here's a website. But what I want to do is focus on one that ranks up here. Here's allnurses.com. I'm going to take that. See allnurses.com. And I'm going to remove nursing. That's going to, layer us down into the audience insight tool. We're going to get deeper into the niche. And now we're going to start seeing some very high affinity rankings. So anybody that likes Mighty Nurse has a 48.3x affinity ranking with anybody that's in allnurses.com. So they're very, very correlated. Remember, 15 was our benchmark. Above that is, even more and more and more above that is better and better and better. So I'm going to jot down all of these interests right here, and I'm going to take them over to my ad, because I know that these are very much tied to nursing, but I also know that they're very much tied to all nurses, which is very much tied to nursing. So we're 3 layers deep in our interests, and we know that these are great interests to go after in the nursing niche. We focused in from a large, broad audience and brought it down to a very core audience in order to find those nurses versus the family members and the friends of nurses. So I hope that makes sense for you. What I want you to do is walk through this a handful of times, get yourself into a niche, try to do this over and over again. It's very simple when you when you layer it down like this, and you'll get used to it right off the bat. It's like riding a bike. It'll be second nature to you to get very deep into a niche very quickly. So again, write all these down. We'll take them over to the ad video here shortly, and we'll see you there.